In 1936, a chemical company called DuPont set out to find a safer alternative to the gases used in fridges, one that was neither toxic nor flammable. Their lead scientist on the project was a 27-year-old chemist named Roy J. Plunkett. He was experimenting with a gas called tetrafluoroethylene, or TFE. It's a pair of double-bonded carbons, each bonded to two fluorine atoms. One morning, as Plunkett was setting up a test, his assistant picked out a cylinder full of TFE and twisted the valve. But nothing came out. Plunkett thought the gas must have leaked, but the cylinder still weighed about as much as a full one, so he grabbed a saw and cut the cylinder in half. Inside, he was shocked to see it was full of a white, slippery powder. Plunkett just wanted to get rid of it because it ruined his experiment. But before throwing it out, he decided to do some tests on it. So he tried pouring water on it, but the water just beat it off. So he tried acid. Again, nothing happened. Then he tried the strongest base he had, but that wouldn't melt it either. Plunkett went through all of the solvents in the lab, but the powder remained intact. It wouldn't melt, corrode, or react with anything. It was seemingly indestructible. The reason it was so indestructible was because of this bond, the carbon-fluorine bond. Okay, so he's got this incredibly inert stuff. Was he really trying to get rid of it?
He actually didn't know what to do with it, because, what do you do with a material that doesn't, react with anything? But luckily, his employer, DuPont, they were actually working with the US Army on the Manhattan Project. So they were refining uranium and plutonium, because of course there's a World War II reference in a Veritasium video. You just have to have it.
To get the fuel for nuclear bombs, enriched uranium, you first have to turn the uranium into a gas, uranium hexafluoride. It was a nasty chemical that corroded everything. So all the gaskets, seals, and miles of pipe in the plant at Oak Ridge had to constantly be replaced, slowing down production.
But then DuPont was like, listen, we have this seemingly indestructible chemical, right? It doesn't react with stuff, it doesn't corrode, so maybe we can try and use it against uranium hexafluoride. So they get a bunch of this powder, they cram it together under high pressure to create these cakes, essentially. Now you had a solid of this material that you could machine into gaskets and cylinders that you could push into these pipes. They put these tube linings into the pipe, and boom, it works like magic. You're like a charm. The uranium hexafluoride was no match for this magic material.
The material worked so well that the Army wanted to use it for everything. The same gaskets and seals were installed into fuel tanks and airplane engines to protect them from oil and water. And weapons manufacturing plants no longer had issues with the corrosive nitric acid needed to make explosives. DuPont saw the potential too, so they trademarked the material in 1944.
They didn't trademark it under the name polytetrafluoroethylene, because admittedly, that name kind of sucks. So they took TE from tetra, FL from fluoro, and then they had a bunch of these other miracle materials, rayon, nylon. So they took ON from the end of those, and boom, Teflon.
Nice. Okay. It's a good name. With the war over, the Army lifted the secrecy bans on the Teflon patents, and DuPont was allowed to sell it commercially. And suddenly, people all over the world were coating everyday items in Teflon, trying to create a world-changing product. One day in 1954, a French engineer, Marc Gregoire, tried putting Teflon on his fishing gear to prevent tangles.
But then his wife saw him doing that, and her reaction was that this is absolute nonsense. No one is ever going to use this. You should do something that someone's actually going to use. So how about you put it on a pan? Make a pan non-stick.
And once these pans hit the market, it was a cooking revolution.
Teflon, Teflon,
Teflon.
And DuPont knew exactly how to market it.
even oatmeal won't stick to Teflon.
Hey, Nate, let me try.
And it wasn't just non-stick pans. Teflon, C8, and chemicals like it were used in everything.
Slipaway contains the magic of DuPont Teflon.
Suddenly, we had Teflon stain-resistant carpets and stain protection sprays like 3M's Scotchgard. Jackets lined with Teflon were waterproof and breathable.
Gore-Tex is the brand name.
Teflon was so inert that medical implants made out of it wouldn't be rejected by the body. It was used to coat the Statue of Liberty's steel framework to save it from corrosion. The term Teflon was so ubiquitous that when the Italian mobster John Gotti was being prosecuted in the late 1980s, none of the charges against him would stick, so he was dubbed Teflon Don. By the late 1990s, the Teflon business generated roughly $1 billion in yearly sales for DuPont.
Teflon has a great future, and its uses will be many.
The chemicals were everywhere,